Good evening and welcome to the Township of Woolwich Council meeting on January 31st, 2022. Before we begin, I will remind Council that this portion of the meeting is being recorded and live streamed to YouTube. I'll start with roll call for the benefit of those watching this evening. I'm Mayor Shantz, I'm present, and chairing this meeting, Councillor Martin.
Present.
Councillor McMillan.
Present.
Councillor Merlihan.
Present.
Councillor Redekop.
Present.
And Councillor Shantz.
Present.
Sometime I'm going to mix it up and mess you all up. We'll start with a land acknowledgement and a moment of silence. The land on which we meet has been here from time immemorial. People have inhabited southern Ontario for about 10,000 years, and we acknowledge the Attawandaron, also known as neutral people, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee people who lived here before settlers arrived and who share this land with us. May we together learn to care for and respect each other, our flora and fauna, and the land we inhabit together. And we are all guests here. I wanted to read something and now I've lost it. My apologies. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, thank you. We are all here as guests, regardless of our race, and there have been some disturbing actions that have taken place against some members of our community. And I just received a wee bit ago a statement from the Waterloo Region Police, and I think this might be an appropriate time to read it. On January 27th, 2022, the Waterloo Region Police Service received a report of hate comments that were made online targeting a local business owner. These comments are considered to be hateful and racist in nature. The Waterloo Region Police Services have actioned the complaint and have launched an ongoing criminal investigation, which is believed to be hate motivated. Investigators from our investigative services division, including detectives and our hate crime, cybercrime, and equity, diversity, inclusion units are working collaboratively to investigate this matter and to ensure the safety of the business owner. The Waterloo Region Police Service is committed to ensuring the safety of every resident in Waterloo Region. We denounce all forms of racial and/or hate-motivated comments and incidents. These types of incidents will not be tolerated in Waterloo Region. We want to reassure the community that we are actively investigating and committing resources to the investigation to ensure those responsible are fully investigated. Anyone with additional information regarding this incident is asked to call police at 519-570-9777 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. And anonymous tips can also be submitted at www.waterloocrimstoppers.com. And so I would just reiterate that there is no room in this community or this country for hateful comments or for targeting anyone of any nationality or creed. It's our differences that make us stronger. What I really wanted to recognize in the moment of silence today was on January 29th, we as a nation recognized the National Day of Remembrance of the Quebec City Mosque and action against Islamophobia. And tonight we'd like to take a moment to especially remember the lives lost 5 years ago in the Quebec massacre on January 29th, 2017. Islamophobia is real, hate is real, and it has cost us too much already. We stand with the victims of the mosque shooting and stand against Islamophobia. We as a community and as a country are always stronger together. We need to commit to keeping it safe for everyone. So please join me in observing a moment of silence as we remember the lives lost 5 years ago. Okay, excuse me, thank you. Are there any? Excuse me while I find my voice. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Councillor Merlehan?
Yeah, 6.1, 6.2, both the presentations, which is the Elmira BIA and the St. Jacobs BIA, which are clients. And 10.1, the washroom report is also St. Jacobs BIA, which is a client.
Okay. Thank you. There are no items to come forward from closed. We have a number of minutes. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes as presented? Moved by Councillor Shantz and seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We have no public meetings, but we do have two presentations this evening from our business improvement areas. First, we have John Clay from the Downtown Elmira BIA to provide council with a presentation on their proposed 2022 budget. Welcome, Mr. Clay.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure
You have
to
the
be here.
floor.
Mayor Shantz, council members, other guests, staff as well. Always like speaking with you fine folk. And I hope I can bring you up to speed on what the Elmira BIA has been up to in the past year and what we're looking forward to doing this year. If it's okay, I will share my screen. So I'll tell you right now, these slides are not mine, but we just had our AGM last week, and as much as I helped put them together, our admin that's been with us for a little over a year now was most helpful, along with your own Jenna Morris and our marketing consultant Abby Cooper. Obviously, this year was a year of change, a year of hardship for a lot of businesses, where the COVID pandemic continued to carry on a little bit longer than we thought it was going to. One highlight for us this year, though, was our Mill Street closure. And I took the liberty of not showing the before pictures, which were from 2020, which I think hopefully everyone can agree, we've had a significant upgrade on. So we added some color, obviously the art exhibit that we have there as well too, I'll speak to a little later. But it was nice to just have some more color, some more flowers, greenery, a little bit more pop to the site, and obviously the usage spoke to those changes. I also left out the picture that I was sent of the full garbage can, which obviously then would say that it was used, but it was just nice to see people using it this year. There were times where it was empty, but there were also times where it was full. And it's something that we look forward to doing every year, such that we can increase foot traffic and increase places downtown where the local residents and people that come to shop can sit down, take a break, have a meal, and just relax for a little bit. The usual things, I won't go into details, the banners, the flowers, hanging baskets, etc. We're still going strong with the banners, and we haven't had any problems with hanging or posts or anything like that. So we were happy that was a stress-free year in that regard. Events, unfortunately, we had to cancel sidewalk again this year due to COVID. We just didn't think it was appropriate at the time to have an outdoor event that was bringing more and more people to downtown in close quarters. And I think some of the businesses were a little nervous about their protocols and things as well too. Moonlight Madness, probably not our best year, but I think it more had to do with the weather than anything. There were a couple of businesses that said it was their best night that they have had ever. So a couple of different things that we did this year: a selfie photo set that Dana Costello had her hand in. Great work with that. And then we had a band. Now, despite them being a little cold because of the wind, I think that was a successful event for us. Next year, I think we'll look forward to getting back to the usual things of trolley rides, walking Santas, handing out candy canes, etc. But with COVID as it is, I'm not making any promises. One of the biggest projects that we took on this year was the Elmira Art Exhibit, and we had but a small hand to play. Yes, just over half of the dollars that went to this program came from the BIA, but your own Jenna Morris was instrumental in getting this started and leading the subcommittee and being organized and having all of the things that were necessary to put this together. It included 10 pieces of art, 45 submissions from local artists. There were 6 volunteer committee members, several partners that were involved as well, two grants to go along with, and a sponsor that went along with the BIA funds that we put towards the project. And it was just great to have those local artists come together. It was interesting because there wasn't a lot of submissions right up until the very end, and then the last few days they all came in. And I hope everyone can agree that it's been a great addition to the downtown. There have been more than our fair share of positive comments, both through our social media and just verbally with some of the business owners and BIA board members. I won't go into detail about where they are around town, but those are the 9 submissions. And then, as I shown here, is the mural on the side of the Sip and Bite. It's something that we hope to add to in the future. There was a big budget item for us last year. This year, we may look to add 1 or 2 more of the smaller murals. It depends on where maintenance is needed. We got a little lucky this year. Some of you may have noticed that there was some graffiti on one of the artist projects, and our own John Santaris, from building owner at the used to be the old Kitchen Cuttings and up where OMV Tasting and Sweet Scoops is, managed to come up with some magic graffiti removal paint that did a great job. So we were really happy that we didn't have to replace one of those murals. Another big change for us this year, and I wish Abby Cooper was here from AC Digital Marketing. She has been no less than fantastic for our group. It's been very nice to have a consistent face within our board for marketing, and as a non-voting member, she takes a very small amount of our budget compared to what she does for us on the side. So if she was here, I would thank her immensely. The website was a brand new project that just allowed us to have a site that even the public could go to. And if you search downtown Elmira, this now pops up. So the number of views was excellent. We have a little bit of information BIA wise there for our membership, but it dovetailed nicely with what we did with the Elmira Art Exhibit as well too. Social media is something also that Abby is proficient at, and she's done a great job at increasing Instagram followers, our likes on Facebook, etc., and just using different parts of social media that, well, let's just say the rest of the volunteers on the board know next to zero about. So it's been great to have her there to walk us through and just take pictures of the downtown. She probably has met more business owners than I have as she goes down to door to door, takes pictures, gets their story, posts on Instagram. And it's been a breath of fresh air for our board to have for over these last year and a bit, 2 years. Next year, as Abby had mentioned at our AGM, looking at a few different ways for promotion on social media. I also like the idea of the private Facebook page that we will have for our businesses. So it just offers another form of communication and hopefully form or medium that they can offer feedback to us or input in general for any of the projects that we're doing. So Abby has set that up already, and I think we're going live shortly, such that all the businesses will have access to it. So looking ahead to 2022, one of the biggest projects that we have in our budget that I will get to in just a second is the Greenery Project. Now I won't mention the name. I'm not even sure I can remember the name, Jenna, that we put on the application for the Main Street program. because as much as the BIA has supplied $30,000 towards this project, that would be a drop in the bucket considered what's needed. And the impetus for this was actually brought on by Donna Hand and her urban core development study, where the public came on, and there was a lot of public outcry in the chat about the lack of greenery downtown. And we've heard it before, but it just felt that it was time to act on something, and we couldn't wait until the Arthur Street redevelopment for trees to be planted or things to be done. We wanted to do something right now. So there is a hope, but I am cautiously optimistic for the success of the grant application that, again, your own Jenna Morris was instrumental in putting together, that we might put those funds together and have a robust and comprehensive project that will obviously not plant huge trees in the downtown, but have several different areas of ground cover, different planters, possibly even different seating areas that will encourage more foot traffic and just make the downtown look a little bit more, well, for lack of a better word, green. We have Ingarini from Trees for Woolwich. We're looking at the Green Infrastructure Plan from 2017 to help us with the planning as well too. And this is something that we hope can carry on for several years to come. And when the Arthur Street project happens, big planters, things that may need to be moved if there is not room because of the structure of the changes to the downtown when that redevelopment happens, hopefully they'll be able to be moved to other areas. And that's the plan. And if the entire grant comes through for the activator program, some of this budgeted money from the BIA may go to ongoing maintenance, planting, watering, etc., over the next few years as well too. Also, backed by popular demand, we have our facade improvement stream of the CIP. So it was a light year on the signage stream. We only had one grant given, but I think everyone was a little nervous with what was happening with COVID and wanting to spend money on their front area. It was also very restricting, I think, with respect to just doing signage. The facade improvement stream allows signage to be part of it, as well as any number of different aspects to change your facade. So pending budget approval with council, there's $10,000 from there, and then also $10,000 from the BIA. As was 2 years ago, 30% of the project will be returned to the business owner upon successful application, once they have shown finished product pictures and receipts of paid invoices, etc. And it's up to a maximum of $5,000. We have our subcommittee in place already. The first deadline will be at the end of April, and then a second submission date will be determined whether or not we, depending on how many applications we have at the beginning of the year. What's nice again is that all of these things, all the information, the application, etc., can all be found now on the website in one happy place. So yeah, before I get to budget, I think I'd just like to take a moment, because my other board members aren't here, say for Jenna and Scott, and I wanted to again thank Jenna Morris for her time that she has spent on that art exhibit project. I don't know if it would have happened without her help. Abby Cooper, of course, but just all of our board members. It's a bigger board than we've ever had. And I'm most thankful for their help as volunteers in doing the things that we are starting to do. And it does feel that there's a bit of a change, bit of a ball rolling. And so I have been just happy to be a part of it in general. With that, let's get into the budget. Can everyone see my screen there as well too? I'll maybe increase it. So one thing I should say out of the gate with our budget this year is after the audit last year, we were, I think a slap on the wrist was maybe too strong a word, but we were told that there's a big surplus there. You need to spend your money shortly. It's not to be a organization that carries money year to year, and for a couple of different reasons. One, leftover money from the lighting project. Two, I think there was leftover funds from both years of COVID that we had a bit of a surplus. And so this is a year that we are looking to spend well over 2/3 of it. But it also can be misleading, as the size of our budget this year is nowhere near what we can afford on an ongoing basis. So as I speak to you of these different projects, I preemptively will request an invitation, or maybe just if I can have presence at one of your future meetings before budget of next year, because I'll be coming back and potentially asking council for some of these funds in the future. So just to go over it briefly, our income normally from the BIA levy and our Walmart levy, this is the 10,000 here that is still to be approved by council for the CIP. Ultimately, this is our transfer of surplus, which essentially we set our budget for the year, talk about projects, put all our numbers down, and whatever left over is needed, that's what we're moving over. Really simple things here. Basic Elmira Wides program haven't happened for a while, but hopefully we can get that going with Almeida and Kitchen Cuttings this year. Regular sidewalk sale and Moonlight Madness, those things are fairly standard. General advertising, we have beefed that up over the last year or two, just as a way to help local businesses with joint advertising programs. Yes, for the events, but also it was important during COVID to get the word out about protocols, that the businesses are safe to come in and shop. Hanging baskets, etc. One line item here that is worth mentioning is our seasonal decor. I will not go into, again, why there are no lights on the poles downtown. I think we've heard enough of that story. But we are starting now, not in September, as is our fault in the last couple of years, but starting now at looking at what we can do to brighten up the downtown at Christmas time. Normally it costs about $5,000 plus to put up the garland, and we're looking to add another 10,000 to that to see what lighting we can put, whether it's solar paneled or battery operated. It's unfortunate that we cannot use the power out of the poles, but we have to get past that and start looking at other options. Mill Street, there shouldn't be too much infrastructure-wise that we need. We have our chairs, we have tables from staff and Township, umbrellas, etc. So some of this money will go towards flowers, signage, anything else that we can do to brighten up that area. The $20,000 is the total amount for the facade program, as I mentioned. And then there is extra money here for the art project, as I had said previously as well too. The facade carryover, just so I'm clear, what has happened is there was a group that had a project downtown where their project was almost completed, but none of the pictures, receipts, etc. were sent to us such that we could hand over the money. We have tried to be in contact with this group on several occasions. Don't know if it was because the project wasn't fully completed. We're holding this budget line over for another one more year. After that, it's going back into to our own surplus. The signage project, same thing happened this year. There was one project near the end of last year that didn't get completed. So we have a lot of these about $2,000 to carry into this year's budget. Seasonal banners as usual, just for putting them up and taking them down. And then weed control, again, I think was a successful measure. It's just been good to see the downtown not littered with weeds as it was 2 or 3 years ago. There's the $30,000 for the downtown Greenery Project. And obviously that may not be the number of the project, pending the grant money that could come in. If this is all we have and we're denied by the activator program, then we will do what we can with this money available, and it may just be a smaller scale project than what we've envisioned. Administration, membership, not much to speak of there. Staff includes amount includes the money that we have for admin for Julia, but also for marketing and the like I said, small amount that goes to Abby Cooper, given how much time she spends with us for her efforts. And that is it. So total expenses there of 132,000 and change. And that's why there is almost $60,000 worth of surplus that we are going to be moving over into our budget to spend this year. And that's all I have, everyone. Open to questions or comments of any kind. But I appreciate being able to come in front of you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, John. If you could stop sharing your screen, there we go. Thank you. Council, questions? Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I would say, John, I was very pleased with the way Mill Street looked this year. A big improvement over the last few years. You did a good job there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was a great group effort. Yeah, everyone contributed, from moving chairs back and forth to buying flowers to getting things painted. So, and a local contributor made those chairs. So that was a great addition as well too.
Great. Anyone else? Councillor McMillan?
And not a question, Mayor, but just through you, I just want to thank John for all of his efforts on the BIA. When I started sitting on the BIA 3 years ago, there were 3 members there at every meeting, and we had pizza in the Doty Hubble meeting room there, and it was, fun, but, it was a lot of work for the 3 people. And I've been talking, for a couple of years about how, just wait until you start to see what the BIA is going to do, because there's a new energy and there's good things coming. And we're starting to see the results of that. There was good work before, and we didn't really see the fruits of that. The board has expanded. There's been new talent brought in. The old people are still there, still working hard, but there's been some new people added in. And they're really starting to see the fruits of that labor, the art project, the improvements on Mill Street. We're going to see some greenery in our downtown core, fingers crossed, which is badly needed. So we're really starting to see the fruits of this labor that has been probably 4 years in the making, maybe a little bit longer. So hats off to John. And I just wanted to say also, I think you heard how many times John said Jenna Morris in his presentation. I think that the things that have been accomplished with all of the great work and energy from the BIA wouldn't be possible without the incredible work from Jenna. So hats off to those 2, and then all of the other people that are on the BIA. Thank you for all of your work. It's really amazing to see, and we're excited to see what happens in the years ahead.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Scott. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the presentation, John, and thanks from me as well for all the work you're doing, and for the work the BIA is doing. The downtown is coming alive again, and it's looking better. So thanks.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Right now, we need a motion to accept the 2022 budget for the downtown Elmira Business Improvement Area as presented to council today. Someone like to move that? Councillor Redicott, seconded by Councillor McMillan. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, and next we have the St. Jacobs BIA, and Graham Spence is presenting council with their proposed 2022 budget. Welcome, Mr. Spence.
Yes, welcome. Thank you. Well, I will be honest that I was told that, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Graham from Block 3 Brewing. I'm the treasurer for the St. Jacobs BIA, and yeah, I guess I'll share my screen here. There we go. All right. Can you see our little slideshow annual general meeting thing?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so yeah, we had our general meeting about a week and a half ago. I'll just run you through a few slides here and then present the budget for this year. So we just have welcome some new businesses into town. All right. So one of the biggest accomplishments for this year was getting some public bathrooms funded into the downtown St. Jacobs core. I'm not sure how aware you are, but that has been a hot button issue for us for quite a while. And it's something that we hope we can improve upon going forward. Right now, we have a single bathroom located in or just above Block 3 Brewing. And it is probably the most used bathroom in the region. It is, it's very heavy use, long lines on weekends. And it's bad. I think it's to be honest, it's embarrassing for us because we get a lot of feedback from people coming in and getting upset with the lack of public facilities, and we end up taking the brunt of it, but I'm sure we'll get improvements there going forward. We also we've got a few different things happening on our board this year. So we're planning a little succession model. So a couple of board members are leaving us. So Ed, the current chair, and Bob Wilbur, the kind of I guess executive coordinator. They're planning to end their roles at the end of this year, and then we'll be looking to kind of swing in and replace them, as well as our current coordinator, Carrie. She has given us our notice and ending her role with us at the end of or beginning of March. So we've engaged in a search, and we are pretty positive that we found a nice replacement for her. So for our beautification and maintenance, this year we added a watering and flower maintenance program to all businesses that purchased flowers through another local member, and that worked out really well. It was nice cohesiveness throughout town, and I think a lot of businesses participated in it. We also had a few different mural projects completed that we actually received grants for through the RTO4. And I think we're going to continue looking for more murals to be completed in the near future. So for marketing, we've had really good growth in both our social and website views. The big traffic time frame is November, December through Sparkles. We're looking at adding new events to go through and kind of increase the traffic and increase flow through different times of the year. Events. So 2021, we were a little light on events. We had kind of expanded to 3-week Sparkles, which we think worked out well. We're going to probably maybe try to confine it to 2 weeks next year. A lot of businesses were really happy with how it went and the marketing behind it, but we found that we couldn't offer the same things that were planned every night. So we're going to try to confine it and make things a little bit smoother going forward. And let's look at a little budget recap from 2021. So we do have a larger carryover or contingency for this year. A big portion of that is actually for community space that we've planned for just next to the regional library in St. Jacobs, just off the main street. About 40,000 is earmarked for that, and that was we just kind of got delayed with the planning for that based on the COVID implications. So we'll be looking to spend that this year. And we've got our budget here. So we've got a small contingency, but I think everything's pretty straightforward. No real major changes, a little bit larger events budget. We are probably going to be coming back to council in sometime this year and looking at maybe some form of levy increase to hire some sort, or to promote our administration budget, and maybe get executive director and another coordinator in, and maybe professionalize the budget, or sorry, the BIA a little bit more. And what we found is that I think the with the volunteer aspect of it, a lot of people are getting burnt out. And it's and I'm not sure if John would agree with this from the Elmira BIA, but we find the group is getting smaller and smaller of people who want to volunteer and put their time and effort towards it. And we really need to find a way and to professionalize and manage this thing so that we can continue to grow and expand the St. Jacobs area. So I'm open to questions, and maybe I'll stop sharing. Is that good?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Council, do you have questions? Excuse me, Councillor Shantz and then Councillor McMillan. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Through you to the delegate. I'd like to circle back to the washroom a little bit and ask a couple of questions there. Do you think once COVID opens up that the businesses would open up their washrooms to the public? It seems when I look at where the washrooms are going to be located, they're quite a distance from the main drag, and quite a walking distance if somebody really needs a washroom break. So I was just wondering if you feel that that's going to open up a bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's tough because I know, so we're a relatively new BIA, right? We kind of went from a privately run business association, right? Mercedes Corp pretty much ran that and had that open for everything. And then, I'd like to sit here and tell you that, yes, they would open it up, but I know that there is concern with liability from opening up bathrooms. And I mean, from our perspective at Block 3, and if I'm taking off my treasurer hat, we've always let people come in and use our bathrooms because we're humans, and why not? But I know that other people have different views on that. So I'm not going to sit here and answer for them, but I would imagine that the answer would probably be no, unfortunately. And to go back to what you're saying about the location, I think we get the trails are a large, there's a number of people that use those trails back there, and there's nothing back there, right? It's so I don't think having something back on the trails is necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, Councillor McMillan.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. Thank you very much for the presentation. I think it was on slide 14. There was something about placemaking, U of W project with placemaking. And I'm sorry if I'm catching you off guard. I know
No, that's fine. Yeah.
If you had more information about that, I'd love to hear more about it. Yeah,
so we engaged the University of Waterloo to do like a study on the kind of future plans for St. Jacobs. We invested some money in it, and so we're at phase 2 right now, and then to kind of the phase 3 is the implementation, and that's a much larger scope project. It's more of like a $40,000-$50,000 investment in terms of implementing some of the findings from that study. which we obviously don't have in that budget right at this moment. So that is one thing I know that we're kind of looking at grants, and we have actually, the best person would be Ed to talk to this, but I know that he has, the university has funding available for implementation of this project, up to about like 70% of it. So we just need to find funds in order to finish the rest of that.
Excellent, thank you. So the U of W kind of did a study where there are opportunities for placemaking in the downtown, and now you're looking at, okay, we have this plan. This is what it's going to cost. What's the best way to go about that?
Yep.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thanks for the presentation, Graham. And you might want to stick around for the discussion on the washroom. It is on the agenda for a little bit later if you've got time. You don't have to, but
Yeah.
we find it interesting. But in the meantime, we need a motion that the Council of the Township of Woolwich accept the 2022 budget for the St. Jacobs BIA as presented to council this evening. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Shantz and seconded by Councillor Redekop. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, there he is. Welcome back. We have no delegations. We do have some unfinished business. Joint and several liability, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario call to action and draft resolution. And Mr. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So as council recalls, through our budget presentations or deliberations, specifically going through financial services, there was discussion on making representation to the province, on the escalating insurance premiums, and we're not alone in it. And of course, I was recognizing and speaking to the joint and several liability issue that currently still faces municipalities, and saying that AMO still was looking for municipal councils to endorse a recommendation. I can tell you from an update, though, as late as I believe late Wednesday, we got notification from AMO that the Attorney General is convening a technical group that is going to be looking into this issue. And specifically, I think one of the first things on the agenda is looking at the recommendations by AMO. And they are supposed to start getting to work sometime in March. I still think it's a good idea for this council to take a stand and to pass the draft resolution attached to the agenda. But again, that would be council's call.
Okay. Thank you, council. Is there any discussion? There is a motion, a draft resolution printed on your agenda. Would someone like to move it or discuss it? Councillor Shantz, are you moving it? Councillor Martin, are you seconding it? Okay. Any discussion? Councillor Monahan?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor Shantz, to Mr. Petherick. I feel like we've been talking about joint and several liabilities since I started in 2015. I'm just wondering why, can you speak to why it has taken this long for this to finally, have a motion, and you just gave us an update on things starting to happen perhaps in March. I'm just wondering, why does it take this long for some sort of action when, back when I first learned about it, it's like, boy, we really should get on this. So, the province needs to do this. So can you speak to any of that? Do you have any background on that?
Through Madam Mayor, I don't have anything specific. I think for me, it would be kind of my opinions of what probably is happening. And for the most part, I would say it is very much a complex issue. But I would also say that that at times, they're looking at it from the perspective of the victim side of things. So they're always looking to say, the victim and a claim always needs to, be compensated somehow. And of course, they always view the municipalities as being the largest pockets, which of course, then we see the escalating insurance claims that we get and escalating insurance premiums that we have to pay out. So that's why I said, I think it's a very complex issue. I'm with you. We've talked about it. I think we even talked about it before you did go on council. And we are not the only province that has been dealing with this. I think there's been other provinces across the country that have been grappling with this as well. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately, I think we are where we are. And hopefully this time, because I've had multiple discussions even at the provincial level, but I'm hoping this time we're actually going to get to some resolutions.
Okay, thanks.
I can also add that I've presented multiple times to, no, everybody's frozen. Hopefully you can still hear me. I've presented multiple times to ministers at different conferences and opportunities on this. And for the folks at home, what this is if there's a claim and the township is found to be even incrementally responsible, our insurance has to pay the lion's share of the claim. I think I've got that right, Mr. Patrick?
Yeah, through Madam Mayor. Yeah, it's exactly it. We could, it's usually it's sort of always been defined as a 1% rule, that all you need to do is just be held 1% liable, and you could be held with the lion's share. But again, always depends on who's involved in the claim. But a lot of times, as I said, with municipalities, we are viewed with deep pocket. We're viewed to have deep pockets,
which costs us in insurance premiums. Mr. Brenneman, did you want to comment?
Just quickly, Madam Mayor, through you to council, just to Councillor Merlehan's point, the previous Liberal government had made a commitment under Minister Gerritsen, and they were looking at a model that one of the Western provinces had adopted. But then as quick as that happened, there was a changeover from Minister Gerritsen to, my apologies, her name escapes me. And to Mr. Patrick's point, the response that the province gave at that time was based on their consultation with the various stakeholders on their new proposed model for joint and several liability reform. There was concerns from victim impact groups and stakeholders. Hopefully, now with the new pressure, maybe once and for all, we will be able to finally get a new model in place. As you've noted, and other members of council, it's long overdue. It's definitely long overdue, because yes, it predates, it even predates this council, but you're right, it's been talked about far too long. There are models that exist in the world, where other countries even have dealt with this issue. And I think it's just about once and for all finally dealing with this issue.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. Does anyone want to discuss anything on the consent agenda? Councillor McMillan?
I'll just move approval.
I would, if I can take the prerogative of the chair, if no one else wants to pull it under correspondence. There's two motions, one from Bradford West Gwillimbury and one from the region of Waterloo, about the legal challenges against Bill 21. I'm not sure if council has any desire to support either of those. The region just passed the resolution this past week. No? Yes, no. Councillor Merlehan?
Yeah, through you, back to you. I mean, if that's something that's important to you, Mayor Shantz, and I mean, we can, it's important, I think it's important to everybody, but I could pass a motion for both of those bills to support those motions.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Martin. Any discussion? All those, Councillor Martin?
So I'd just like to say I'm in favor. I had that written down that we should support the region. So I'm pleased we're heading that way.
Thank you. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So then the rest of the items under the consent agenda. Councillor McMillan, yes, and seconder, Councillor Shantz, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We have one staff report this evening, and that is a grant application for temporary public washrooms in the village of St. Jacobs. And Jenna, you're up. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Do you have a report or sorry?
So, yeah, I can I can share a brief presentation if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And through you, Mayor Shantz, to council. The report in the agenda tonight seeks to address public washrooms in the village of St. Jacobs by taking advantage of a new and current grant opportunity. As Graham sort of mentioned in his earlier presentation, that the transition from Mercedes Corporation to the St. Jacobs Business Improvement Area, since that transition, there's no longer being adequate or readily accessible public washrooms. The BIA has worked on a temporary solution over the years, including retrofitting the single toilet facility located at 1430 King Street or Block 3 Brewing in St. Jacobs. The BIA reported the single toilet facility often experiences lineups and management issues with respect to opening and closing the unit. Although a satisfactory short-term solution, the facility is not adequate for the real flow of foot traffic that the village experiences. With the nationwide focus on post-pandemic economic recovery, including a provincial tourism tax credit, and with the region's marketing efforts, the area expects to see even more foot traffic in the upcoming seasons. A larger public washroom facility is required for the village to keep up with the demand of visitors to the area, and the new grant opportunity, My Main Streets Community Activator Program, provides an opportunity for the township to build a 3-piece semi-permanent accessible washroom facility similar to that in Bollinger Park by the splash pad. If approved, the grant will cover all costs associated with the facility in 2022, including the total cost of the facility and all operational and maintenance costs incurred in 2022. The grant expects to announce application approvals in mid-March. If approved, staff expect the facility to be ready to be used by late summer or early fall this year. The funding would reimburse work completed in 2022 only. The township would be responsible to work out the details of a partnership with the St. Jacobs BIA regarding the ongoing maintenance and cleaning costs associated with the amenities for years 2023 and 2024. Staff have estimated the ongoing costs associated with the facility by using current contractor costs for the Bollinger Park facility and ramping it up to a 12-month season requiring daily maintenance. A worst case scenario, if it was used to its maximum capacity scenario. The exact annual cost will be more accurately defined after a partnership has been agreed upon. So in closing with that, I will leave it there, and I'm happy to answer any further questions around the report.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions, council? Councillor Shantz.
Thank you. Through you to Jenna. Two things kind of stuck out for me. And I already mentioned the one about the distance to get there from the main street where all the traffic is. And Graham talked about the trail, and I never thought of that option as well. So I'm glad to hear that it'll be used by those people. But the one that's really stuck out is artwork for $10,000, and wondering if that's really necessary.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Shantz, and through you, Mayor Shantz, in response. So the community activator grant would cover the cost of public art. So it wouldn't be a township cost, but art is not cheap, and although it's a public washroom facility, the grant is looking for large, impactful projects that bring the community together and look to address a variety of benefits for the community. So both social, mental, and economic impacts, positive impacts to the community. So by splashing the facility with art that both visitors and the locals can identify with and enjoy, it makes the application, in staff's opinion, stronger.
It could tie into the quilt art that's down by the trailhead. Councillor
Yeah.
Shantz, follow up there?
I'm just gonna, sorry, Mayor Shantz, I'm just gonna chime in. I think, I mean, you know,
Sorry, who's speaking?
sorry, it's Graham from the.
Okay, sorry, this is for council discussion.
Oh,
But
sorry.
if council has a question for Graham, I would let him answer. But thanks for
Oh, sorry.
comment. Councillor Shantz.
It's not really related to this project, but I'd like to make a comment after this discussion is done.
Okay. Councillor Martin, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question. About 2 months ago, the province came out with some new regulations about washrooms and how they're used. Does that affect anybody in St. Jacobs or even in Elmira? Like the one thing they said, if you are a delivery person and you're delivering something, you cannot be refused the use of a washroom. If you're a postie delivering mail, you can't be refused a washroom. And they had a number of things like that. So people just can't close the washrooms and say, hey, they can't be used.
Jenna, do you know anything about that?
Sure. Through you, Mayor Shantz, to address Councillor Martin's question or comment. During previous BIA meetings, there has been a discussion about what business owners are required to provide in terms of public washroom, well, sharing their washrooms with the public. And that is a baseline. Businesses will do that, like similarly for restaurants. I mean, you can't deny your customers that are seated and dining from you use from the public washroom facility. But this is more intended for, once you're done eating out, you're going to perhaps visit other stores, go shopping throughout the downtown. This is looking to provide a facility for those that are not on that list. So I would say in the grand scheme of things, that the people who are looking to use the washroom are people who are coming as visitors to explore the village. But those delivery folks and the folks that are businesses are required to offer their public washrooms to, that's not including. That would be over. What we're trying to address today is the foot traffic over and above that small group.
Okay, thank you. Did you have a follow-up, Marie? No. Okay, Councillor Redicott, go ahead.
Yeah, some of the business owners too, I think they have to, if someone comes in their shop, they have to allow them to use a bathroom, but they're often in very inaccessible, they're down the stairs or up the stairs. And so they're really not wanting to endanger the citizens or come into, insurance claims like that. So that's one of the issues around the local businesses.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, there is a motion. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor McMillan, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And sorry, Graham, for cutting you off, but it's council discussion here. So hopefully your comments were I guess reflected in the discussion. Councillor Shantz, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, thank you. It's really not about this report, but it is in the report. Question I have is Bolander Park, and I saw that we have that type of washroom at Bolander Park, and I thought that we had an extensive makeover and making the original washrooms accessible. Did that never happen? And I just have a question on that, because if it's adding another $42,000 to the price of the splash pad, that has me a little concerned.
Mr. Vanderhoff, there you are.
Through you, Mayor Shantz, Councillor Shantz. Yeah, we did add a second facility down by the splash pad a couple of years ago now. That washroom was donated as well. And I think the main reason was just proximity to the splash pad. You're right. You have the kids running around it and that sort of thing, and to cross the river and run up across the road was just quite the distance. So, and in terms of costs, operating costs, I can assure you that we're nowhere near the $42,000 mark. What we did when we were putting together the budget for St. Jacobs is truthfully, we wanted to be as safe as possible. And that washroom would be open year round versus the one at Bolander, which is only open for 16 weeks, I believe. So hopefully that answers your question.
Is it pumped daily though? It probably wouldn't need to be pumped daily.
Yeah, so to Mayor Shantz, the washroom at Bolander is emptied 2 to 3 times a week, typically 3 times. We're not sure what sort of traffic we will see in St. Jacobs at this washroom. So again, in the effort just to be as safe as possible, at $100 an empty and fill for water, there is a chance that midsummer, weekends or July, August months, it could need to be emptied every day. So.
Go ahead, Councillor Shantz.
Thank you. I guess that does answer my question, but it doesn't put me at ease very much, because the washrooms that are there aren't that far from the splash pad. So I just don't understand why we make a decision like that. That's my comment. I'd like to know what it costs us to operate that and a little more detail, actually.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Shantz, to Councillor Shantz. Yeah, not a problem. I can pull some numbers together and share that with council.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Other business, mayor's report on regional matters. I have a couple of things I just wanted to highlight. One is that there are a few new roundabouts being scheduled, and one is at Sawmill and Edie Crest Road that is coming up this year, I believe. The second one is we already talked about, and that was the Bill 21 that came to council prohibiting public servants from wearing religious symbols at work. And so this is the region and us supporting the legal challenges to that. And also regional council advocating for additional business supports. So staff were directed to work with area municipalities and Best Water region to explore additional supports for businesses as they continue to cope with the pandemic. So those were the 3 highlights from the regional meeting that I thought pertained to Councillor Martin.
Yeah, thank you. Whatever happened to the roundabout that was proposed on Church Street and Flordale Road?
Yeah, that's still going ahead. Mr. Poupé, are you on the line, and can you speak to the timing on that at all?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Shantz, to Councillor Martin. I'll have to get back as far as the timing goes, but it is going ahead. That is the good news story. So it is progressing. I think right now we're looking at utility locates occurring So I'm not sure if it's scheduled for this year or next year. Actually, I believe it's next year, but I'll confirm in an email to council after the meeting.
Yeah, the one at EB Crest will just be starting with the design and pulling all the pieces together. Councillor Shantz?
Yeah, just a comment on that particular one. And how do they decide where to put them? Because to me, there's another number of other places that are far more important than that corner. One would be further down on Fountain and Menno would be a good spot. And also at the other end at Shantz Station and Kossuth. Where they're putting it there, if they would have designed that properly and just put a right turn lane in there, I don't think they would even need a roundabout. So I just don't understand how they decide where and when to put them. It just doesn't seem like the traffic warrants it there, but I don't understand.
Yeah, the engineers do their thing. Don't go away, Mr. Poupet, because you can answer it better than I can.
Through you, Mayor Shantz, to Councillor Shantz, they do have a process. I'm not completely intimate, but the region does rely on warrant studies. They do a lot of traffic studies. Their first approach, certainly as we're aware too, they look to apply signalized intersections to see how they function and then go from there. But typically that's what's happened, and we can see that evolution. It warrants some form of control all the way, and then it progresses to a roundabout. Typically, I would say roundabouts are desirable because of the long-term maintenance costs. There's a bigger upfront cost, but it's the long-term maintenance costs. Signalized intersections are proven to be more dangerous as far as intersections go, with potential fatalities, where roundabouts offer less. Could be more accidents, but they're less fatal, and they are cheaper in the long run. So I think there's some rationale, but I don't want to speak on behalf of the region. That's just my understanding of a bit of their approach.
Yeah, I think that there were the 4 intersections that they signalized a few years back, and the intent was to sort of use that to get a feel for whether a roundabout would make sense or not. And so I think they're going through those intersections and then prioritizing them based on their observations. I also would agree with you about Menno and Fountain. It did put the all-way stop in there, which I haven't been down there since it's been installed, I don't think. Anyway, I'm not sure how that's working, but I think that would be a great spot for a roundabout. Councillor Shantz?
I think that particular location is only heavy or really heavy when Conestoga Meats lets out. Other than that, I mean, I don't really see the need for that. But yeah, for sure, that would be a more desirable spot than there and just outside of Bloomingdale. It just doesn't seem like a wise location and the expense. But anyway, the region has more. I won't say it. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any other council reports? Council? No, seeing none. Anything about on the outstanding activity list you want to talk about? Councillor Shantz?
I didn't prepare anybody for tonight, but just wondering the Mennonite one where for the churches, the taxation, that seems to be falling by the wayside, and I didn't prep anybody, so I'm not suggesting we can talk about it tonight, but I wonder if we can look at that and come back to council with some information.
Can we get some more information for either committee next week or council the following week, just an update on where that stands? Mr. Poupet, Mr. Brenneman?
Yeah, it wouldn't be Mr. Poupet. Actually, we talked about that issue last week. Councillor Shantz and Deanne Fries is going to follow up with ongoing discussions we've been having with the region about making the necessary changes as part of the RAW process. So I'm sure Deanne will be able to be prepared to address that next week.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anything else, Councillor Merlehan?
Yeah, just wondering if we could clean up some items. the Elmira BIA Community Improvement Plan has already happened. Like we could probably pull that off there. And then there's another one here that the Snyder's Flats Road is going to get paved this year. We could probably remove that. I think that's been there for probably 6 years. So we could, I don't mind not seeing that again. And then I don't know if there's any other updates on the GRT working group, if that's still a thing, or whether or not we're still looking at library options. I guess we haven't done any kind of real update anytime in the last couple of years on some of these items. So either clean up or have an update as to what's happening just in the future.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Merlehan and all of council. Yeah, so we went through the list, as I said last week. We certainly were looking forward to removing the 2 items that you mentioned, but we are waiting. We are waiting actually for certainly the budget to be approved and all of that, and then we were going to take them off. But if council's happy to see us take them off, we don't have any concerns in terms of where the direction's going. Certainly with respect to the transit item, I can provide an update and say that I think we need to keep that one on there, because the thing that we're going to monitor and report back with the region's help on is where the Breslau on-demand pilot project goes in the future. I think we should keep our sights set on how successful or not successful that particular project is. With respect to some of the other items, Mr. Petherick and I plan to meet with the CAO for Kitchener and their Director of Finance to understand how they have developed their budget from a quasi-carbon budget footprint to comply with membership in the Partners for Protection on Climate Change. I think I have that organization right, which we're also members of. So we hope to be able to finally clean up and spend some time, much needed time on that matter. And yes, unfortunately, I think we still need to at least keep it as a tracking item, where we might be going with the region on any future potential partnerships regarding the Breslau Library. So hopefully that provides at least a verbal update on some of those items and why we should keep some of them on there just for even tracking purposes as we monitor situations. But happy to answer any other comments or feedback.
Anything else, council? Okay, thank you. There is no notice of motion. We have a number of bylaws, so a motion that the following bylaws in the hands of the clerk be read a first, second, third time and finally passed, and that they be numbered as bylaw number 04-2022 to 10-2022, and that they be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with a corporate seal. Someone like to move those? Councillor Redicott, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. So if someone would like to move adjournment, we can carry on with our evening. Councillor Merlehan, seconded by Councillor Shantz. All those in favor? Yeah, that's carried. And our next meeting of council is Monday, February 14th, 2022. Next week, we'll meet as committee and take a final look at our budget. So council would like to thank all those who participated or tuned into the meeting this evening on our YouTube live stream. Remind council to stay connected until we receive confirmation that the live stream has stopped. And good night to all.